We play some audio for you from Dave Canales, but it did take on a little bit of a different vibe, a different flavor, if you will, when news was broken just, what did we talk about, like 20 minutes ago?
Half hour
ago, that the Panthers have agreed on a 2-year, $20 million deal worth up to $24 million with Jadeveon Clowney. I'm not making this up. The Panthers. Let me tell you what time it happened to make sure we're all square. 31 minutes ago. This is when the tweet came out. They have agreed to terms to Jadeveon Clowney, linebacker. The caption they chose, creative stuff here. Not clowning around. Solid pun. Here's the take on it. And here's this was my first reaction to. You can go back and probably is that up already yet? Do we know? Yes, no, Dennis?
What?
Our immediate reaction.
It is on YouTube, yes.
There you go. It's on YouTube, 99.9 The Fan. Subscribe while you're there. My first reaction, right? You can almost go back and see it developing, is this is a move that makes me think Canales and Morgan, the head coach and GM, are transitioning into we want to win this year mode. When you take over a team, particularly one that just had the worst record in the NFL and did not even own its own first-round pick, you're probably thinking in terms of how many years. Jadeveon Clowney signing a 2-year deal does not strike me as, hey, let's build for the distant future. That strikes me as we might have something we can do this year. Here's Dave Canales on if he feels the Panthers can compete for the NFC South this season.
I think we're going to be competitive for the division this year. And what I'm saying is if we play good football, if we can get the football right like we believe we can, and we can take care of the football, let the numbers take care of themselves, we'll be in the hunt. We'll be in every single game, which will give us an opportunity to be in the hunt for the division at the end. And if we can play great defense and run it, it'll carry us right into late into the season.
There is a little bit of coach speak in there. If we can play great defense and run the ball, then. But that's as confident as I've heard him. I wonder if at that point he didn't know that Jadeveon was on the way. He's not like, wait till you see if we can get this guy going. 9.5 sacks ties his career high. I would not expect a 15-sack season from this guy, but he's somebody you have to I mean this more than it like the literal. You have to block him, right? Like you
got to respect him.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a pass rusher on the other side, it's not automatically all right. We're double teaming whoever's on the other side. Which some of the edge rushers that the Panthers have trotted out there in recent years have been kind of like, oh yeah, we don't have to worry about him. Oh, you can block him with a tight end. Oh, if we put a tackle on him, we can completely forget about him. Jadeveon Clowney is not that. So it's a move to win now. He's an older player. He's in his 30s. He's not cheap. He's going to eat up some of your cap. It's going to be roughly $10 million a year plus incentives. So there is a bit of pushing the chips into the table and saying we think we can win a division. And that could be as much about the Panthers as it is about the division. They might go, I don't think the Bucs are all that good, and we have their secret weapon from last year, their offensive coordinator. The Saints are in salary cap jail, and the Falcons, Kirk's coming off a Achilles injury. Like they might look around and go, hey, we could sneak one here. We just need a few key plug and play players.
Might be 9 wins the division again.
It doesn't feel that way, but you're right. It wouldn't shock me.
This is NFC South football we're talking here.
Dave Canales spoke to the media yesterday. It's like the AFC North is like physical. The kitchen. NFC South is like 9 wins could always win it. Like,
exactly.
You're
never out of it.
Different reputations. Dave Canales spoke with the media yesterday at the NFL meetings. I thought this was interesting, talking about starting fresh.
Let's just go out on that first day and let that be the first day. No preconceived notions about what a guy can or can't do. How about let's just make it about the fundamentals of football? And if we could all do that, with every position and just say, yeah, that was yesterday, but today's today, and we have the information. but was so committed to just incrementally improving and being committed to the fundamentals. And I think, it's just a really cool natural transition.
That is one of my favorite, and I don't say this like I'm calling him a liar. That is one of my favorite lies in football. Football coaches, football players, what do they spew? They spew the romantic side of the game. We're brothers. Play for the brotherhood. Every day, every position. Nothing's written in stone. We show up the first day, that's going to be the first day. Build from the fundamentals. You know what is not true? Any of that. Do you know why? Because it's a business, and draft picks happen, and contracts happen. We'll use the Jadeveon Clowney example, right? If you're paying that guy $10 million, he shows up day one, he's not the best. Guess what? You give him another shot on day two. He's not the best on day two. Well, how do we get him to be the best on day three? Meanwhile, there's some other guy outplaying him going, hello, it's now been 3 straight days. I've been outplaying him. Yeah, but you make $1.2 million and he makes 10. So we're going to do everything we can to get him on the field and playing effective football. There may have been a time where some backup quarterback from a season ago who maybe red-haired was outplaying Bryce Young. But guess what? You traded the farm for Bryce Young. It wasn't who showed up and was better on that day. It was we traded the farm for that guy, so he's going to play.
So he was asked a little bit about leading up to that, about the general, about helping guys. It was about, hey, how do you take a young guy like Ike Ekwonu and make him better? And, with new coaching staff and all that, he's like, yeah, we're just going to go from day one. We're just going to work with you for what we are day one, not like what you used to have or any of that kind of stuff.
So I don't even know if Icky needs to be improved.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's also just like, I don't know what you were taught previously, but I'm going to teach you what I know. And we're going to teach you what we know.
I do get that. And that's what frustrates me about Pro Football Focus and all these online grading services. This offensive tackle was a 91.2. This offensive tackle was a 76.4. And you might not know, he was expecting a double team there, and the guard just didn't come with him, and thus it looks like a missed block. You don't know. Or sometimes a wide receiver is running a decoy route, and his job is literally to attract a safety. And then the online grader is like, he couldn't separate from the safety. I'm like, well, his whole job was to make that safety run with him. Mm-hmm. So he was trying to make him think like he could make a play. So that's all frustrating. So that could be it. 100% could be it, which actually makes it, I'll say this. That's a very coordinator way of thinking. Because a head coach and a GM and a decision maker has to be able to watch the film of someone playing in someone else's system and decide whether they want to come in and play as a free agent, right? He didn't know what Jadeveon Clowney was being asked to do by the Ravens last year. Now, granted, I do think they crossed paths in Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. Were they both out there at the same time? So maybe he does know a little bit about Jadeveon. But as a head coach, free agency is different because you have to decide whether you like a guy based on how they played for somebody else. And you don't know what they were being asked to do. You need to use your best guess. Here's Canales yesterday on adjusting to free agency as a head coach rather than the assistant he's been in the past.
I felt like it gave me a really objective opinion. And then once free agency started to happen live, learning how fast it comes at you, and then all of a sudden it's like, here's goes, and then here's plan B, plan B is gone, we got to go to C, and it's like just trying to, fit all the pieces together. That was really challenging, and I felt like I found myself during the week of free agency really up early, just kind of okay, where do we go from here now? Or up late, just trying to watch the film and watching, okay, these are the guys that are now available. And feeling myself be so emotionally invested. I did not anticipate that happening that way.
It's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster for fans, and we hear about 10 guys that they're interested in. Who do they bring in for a visit? I can't imagine how it is for them because they're talking to, they know the ins. They know how the sausage is getting made. Right? They've had their heart broken by potential free agents that we didn't even know they were interested in. Well, and also I'll say this, Dave Canales. If you think being a head coach in the offseason is a roller coaster, buckle up because the regular season is going to be even more difficult.